Ladies and gentlemen, boys and the girls, welcome to Ox Plays. Today we're going to be doing a flight to Meteor Crater here in Arizona. Meteor Crater is, according to Wikipedia, 37 miles east of Flagstaff and 18 miles west of Winslow. This is in the northern Arizona desert, and this crater was formed about 50,000 years ago by obviously a meteorite. So it's Meteor Crater. And I've been fortunate enough to have been here once before. It's a real nice. It's not really a state park, but it's kind of like it's like a privately owned land that they have a little bit of a museum on, and you can tour the crater. And when I went several years back, you could actually like walk a part of the rim. So whether or not they still allow that, I don't know for sure. But let's get going. So we have to fly heading 260 for 15 nautical miles from where we're at now. So let's get our throttle up, take our parking brake off, and let's get into the air. So heading 260, it's going to be a little bit to the left. We're at heading 289 right now. So we're going to get up to speed, and then we'll go and see what that looks like. Now I do have live weather turned on, and there is a tremendous amount of wind that's kind of happening right now, so bear with me as we deal with that. Get our throttle all the way up. And again, we're heading 260, so about here. 15 nautical miles should take us a few minutes to get there. Probably about 10 or 12 minutes. But yeah, like I said, I've been fortunate enough to have visited this park, and it's definitely pretty neat. Now, while we're on the way to Meteor Crater, I'll talk about the crater itself, and it's giving me an incorrect altimeter, but I think we should be good now. Anyway, so a little bit about Meteor Crater. Like I mentioned, it is a crater that was formed about 50,000 years ago, and it is, let me pull up Wikipedia here. It's like the absolute worst version of texting and driving. But Meteor Crater is 560 feet deep. The impact diameter is, let's see, 3,900 feet in diameter, 560 feet deep, and the rim of the crater, which we'll see here in a bit, rises about 120 feet above. 140 feet rather above the actual perimeter of the crater. I don't know if they still are currently allowing you to walk the rim, but like I said, back when I visited, you were actually able to tour and walk a portion of the crater, but it was kind of janky. I don't recall there being like a fence. Like you would just literally walk around it, and it was a pretty narrow path. Probably not the safest thing. Now, I did mention that it is privately owned, and there have been attempts to make it a public landmark. It is currently owned privately by the Beringer family, which own it through a company called the Beringer Crater Company. And the cool thing is when you go to this place, they do actually have, I don't know if it's the entire meteor, but they do have a huge chunk of the meteorite that created this crater in their little museum, and it is not really as big as you would think for a crater that's so massive. It's maybe about the size of like, if I remember correctly, it's like, it'd probably fit, in a truck bed, like for like a pickup truck. It's really not that big. And they kind of made a joke, like, you know, on the tour, you know, they said, like, if you can pick up the crater, or the meteor rather, if you can pick up the meteor, you can walk out the door and keep it. But obviously it's, you know, thousands and thousands of pounds. It's a very dense object that created this crater. And so, you know, you actually can touch it, and it's pretty cool. NASA actually, many years ago, you know, we were practicing for the lunar landings in the 60s and the 70s. They had used it for preparation for the Apollo missions. So they have, I believe, when I went, it was the gentleman that was doing the tour mentioned there was some of the equipment was still there in the crater. And that's all the way down at the bottom. And we'll see if we can fly over and see it. And you can kind of see it there straight on ahead. So we are coming up on it. I'm just going to adjust our heading just a bit. As far as other recent history, it's not super recent, but in 1964, a pair of commercial pilots in a Cessna 150 flew over the crater low, which is what we're going to do today. So hopefully we don't suffer the same fate. But when they crossed the rim of the crater, they realized that they could not maintain a level flight, and the airplane stalled, crashed, and caught fire. And some people say they ran out of fuel, but this has been debunked. And according to Wikipedia, a part of the wreckage is still there in the crater. So let me turn my phone off. We'll trim the airplane down just a bit because you can see we're coming up on it pretty quickly. We're at about 9,300 feet, so we're going to bring it down just a bit. But, yeah, I used to live in Arizona for, let's see, the last time I lived there was from, I want to say 2002 to 2006, so about 4 years, I believe. And it's a beautiful state. I really enjoyed living in Arizona. It's beautiful. One place I do want to try to eventually get to flying around is Tucson, which is where we used to live. My dad was stationed at Davis-Monthan Air Force Base, and I want to see if I can fly around Mount Lemmon and Sabino Canyon, which are two things that we would do quite often when we lived there. So I'm going to bring the throttle back just a bit. You can see we're kind of getting into the yellow. And we're coming up on Lecce Airport and the crater. You can see it there in the distance. So this is where we are on the map. And KINW is where we started rather. But yeah, this is a really nice place to go if you're not too far. I highly recommend it. And I believe this is also somewhat near the Grand Canyon, so it's definitely somewhere that I would love to go back to. And the great thing about this is, this game is, I'm not playing it on the highest settings, but it is quite fun to do some virtual tourism and, kind of just check out some different things. And this plane flies slow enough that, you can really get some good idea of what you're looking at. And not only that, it's fairly easy to control. It's a very beginner-friendly plane. So we're coming up on Meteor Crater. We'll probably be there in about 2 to 3 minutes. But yeah, it's a really nice place. And, definitely going to the Grand Canyon again is something that's on my bucket list. I'd love to take my wife and kid there. It is just incredibly beautiful how beautiful nature can be. So let's get some views from outside the aircraft. Let's see. Let me see if I can program in some, or load in some custom camera angles. The thing with this game is really great, but to run programs like Stream Deck, it's kind of a pain in the butt. So let me, so I just connected it there. So let's see if we can, there we go. Let's see what kind of camera angles we can get. And we're right up on the crater, so we should be flying over it here shortly. And we'll drop our altitude just a bit. Drop our throttle back. Yeah, this crater's fucking huge. And probably once we're excuse me, once we're done flying around it. I thought of this last night. It'd be cool to see if we could land in the crater. I actually don't know if it's possible. But I was doing some kind of mess around flights last night, and this thing lands pretty good. You can put it down, you know, without much trouble on some pretty small runways. So there's Meteor Crater there. You can see we're still getting a little bit of crosswind, which is fine. But let's get down just a little bit more. Drop our throttle. And let's see what I remember about Meteor Crater. Alright, so here is Meteor Crater. Like I mentioned, this is about 4,000 meters in diameter. There's a look at the visitor center here and the road leading up to it. And the parking lot. Let's do a fly around of the perimeter. Let's bring our throttle up just a bit. Try not to crash. I think we're a little bit too low. So let's bring this up just a bit. But yeah, this crater is remarkable. How, you know, the scale of it all. So it drops down to about 560 feet, and the height of these ridges here, it's about 148 feet above the surrounding terrain. Bring our throttle up a little bit. Wouldn't that be some shit if we crashed the plane just like those guys did in the 70s? It is it's a really nice place to visit. So the diameter, like I said, it's actually 3,900 feet. I'm sorry, I said meters, but it's 3,900 feet. And let's see if we can go inside the crater. See what we're looking at down there. Get a little bit more throttle going. Ooh, we got some nice wind going too. And let's see if we can go fixed camera. Yeah, this is a cool little landmark, and you can see. Uh-oh. There we go. Now I believe this edge here that's more red. I believe from Wikipedia they were saying that there's parts of the crater where they had dug to try to expose more of the actual meteorite itself, and that's what that redness is. It's that underlying rock. Excuse me. It's that underlying rock that they exposed when they were digging for the meteorites, or the different chunks of the meteorite. So let's circle back around again. And this probably won't be a crazy long stream. Right now I'm just trying to dial in my audio settings, and I thought we'd look for, a fun thing to explore. So let's see if we can go a little bit further down into the crater without crashing the plane. Does not like that. Bring the throttle back just a bit. And let's see if we can if we can't land this thing in the crater. I have high hopes, if I do say so myself. Now the question is, if once we land, if we can take off. All right, so we're coming down nice and gently. And obviously I don't think they'd let you do this in real life, but there we go. Nice and gently. Yeah, the Icon A5 is an amazing plane to fly. Okay, so let's get our flaps set for takeoff, and let's see if we can sort of taxi our way just a bit to give us some space to take off. We'll probably take off in that direction, and then we'll head back to Winslow Airport and see if we can land the A5 there, which hopefully shouldn't be too big of a problem now that we already practice here. Oh, I spoke too soon. Looks like we collided with an object. Well, that was kind of a bummer. I thought we were doing pretty good there. I think I got a little too aggressive in the taxiing process. But yeah, that is a look at Meteor Crater. I just want to take off and see if I can practice a landing on the runway real quick, which again probably shouldn't be too difficult, being that we just landed in a crater. But let's see what we can do here. So we got to throttle all the way up. We'll just probably circle the airport and give it a go. But yeah, the Icon A5 is a great plane, and if you're someone that plans to watch more of these Ox plays, you're going to see this plane quite a bit, because it is super fun to fly. Like, I can't even explain how much fun this plane is to fly. It's pretty easy. You know, even right when I first started the game, I really had no problems controlling the plane. So let's get up in the air. Then we'll circle the runway. We'll come back, shut the plane off, and call it a stream, I think. Yeah, I apologize with the last stream. I had messed up some stuff in OBS, and when I was trying to add in all of the like the game capture and stuff, I guess I reset the audio, and so the levels that we normally have for the mic inputs, they were a little bit off, and so what should have been a really entertaining video was kind of difficult to hear. So I've got a bunch of messages about it, and I thought I'd explain what happened. So, you know, you live and you learn, and hopefully the next aux plays, like particularly this one, or you know, the future ones that we do, they'll be a little bit better. And hopefully we can redo that one, because I think Dean really enjoyed it. So we're not gonna deal with any clearance for landing. We're just gonna land right over there, and you know, they're just gonna have to deal with it. Go out just a little bit more, and then we'll start turning around to land on the runway. I'm pretty impressed that I landed in the crater, though. Honestly, I thought it was possible, but I felt pretty good, and it almost makes me want to try to find like a tiny river or like a small lake, like a really small lake, or even like a pool, and see if I can land it in like a big ass pool. I think that would be really cool. I doubt it would be possible, but I have to see if there's other landing challenges for this plane, because it is just so fun to fly. Alright, so we're going to bring our flaps down for landing. Bring our throttle back just a bit. Start pitching the plane down. The runway is right there. Altitude is at 7,000, though that's sea level altitude, so it's not a true reflection of how far in the air we are, or how high in the air we are, rather. Probably should bring the landing gear down too. That would be smart, wouldn't it? Now with this plane, to land it right at the end, you're supposed to pull it to that white line for landing. So our angle of attack is a bit sharp, but we do need to come down pretty quickly. So we'll see if we can land this somewhat decently. I have high hopes for our abilities. Drop the throttle, bring the nose down, flare it up like that. Get to that white line or not. Ugh, a little difficult there. Alright, we are wheels on the ground. Hit our brakes. Well, that wasn't too bad. Let's get off the runway. I'll show you guys how to shut the plane down, and then I think we'll call that a stream. About 20 minutes. Definitely not too bad. Okay, let's start turning here. Get off the runway. And let's see, where are we supposed to be taxiing at? That's the question. See if I can zoom in here. I think we'll take a left. Yep, we'll go left. Left it is. That's the one thing I really need to work. Oh, there's many things in this game I need to work on, but taxing stresses me out. It's I know there's probably a system to it, but I often find myself getting lost trying to taxi to the right parking area. So that's one thing I'm definitely going to be practicing on. It seems we're going to be somewhat in the right direction. There is a plane over there, so at least we're not totally in the middle of nowhere. And we'll double check our left and rights when we cross this this runway here. We should be good. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed Meteor Crater. It's definitely definitely a beautiful place to visit. You know, if you're into hiking or into that sort of thing, it's a really nice place to go. All right, so let's just park somewhere here, I guess. And I'm still trying to figure out the rhyme or reason for why some planes are pointed in some directions, some in others. But I'm gonna park next to this red plane. This plane looks like it knows what it's doing. So let's park right next to this bad boy. And we'll shut the plane off. All right, so we're parked. Landing gear on, throttle back. And then let's turn the battery master off. And we'll shut the plane down. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this Aux Plays. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope the quality is good. It's hard when you're streaming by yourself because you don't really know how it turned out until you have a chance to review it. But anyways, I'm Zach, and we'll catch you on the next